Hello grade 10s, welcome to our second lesson. So I'm going to start off by just going over the corrections from the exam focus homework that I gave. So we'll start with E. So I'll just write the corrections here. Make sure that you have done all the questions before watching this video, otherwise you're not going to find it helpful to just watch the video and have not engaged with the content like you're supposed to. Okay, so let's start. So E1 says sine squared of 45 degrees minus cos of 60 degrees. Okay, so in order to start this, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to establish the fact that this is a bracket squared minus a bracket. Okay, because we're going to substitute in, we're going to put the brackets in that we need. Now, if this was an assessment, you would have to quickly draw your two triangles. I'm just going to take mine from before. So what's very helpful is that before a test or something like that, you can just quickly draw your two triangles, and you can also do your Cartesian plane, and then you have it, and then it's ready to go for the assessment. Okay, so there they are. So we start with sine of 45. So we go to where 45 degrees is. 45 degrees is here. Sine is opposite, which is 1, over hypotenuse, which is the root of 2. So I have 1 over the root of 2. Then cos of 60, 60 is here. So cos is adjacent, which is 1 over hypotenuse, which is 2. Okay, so you're going to square this in. It's one term, so you can just put the square directly in. So you will have 1 to the power of 1 is 1, and root 2 squared is just going to be 2 minus 1 over 2, which is equal to 0. Okay, so now we're going to look at the next one. Number 2 says tan of 30, tan of 60, minus cos of 30, sine of 60. So I can already see all of them are special angles, so I'm going to put all my brackets in first. And I'm going to substitute. So 30 degrees is here. Tan is opposite over adjacent. Okay, it's the one next to it. So it's 1 over the root of 3. Then tan of 60. 60 is there, so it's opposite over adjacent, which is root 3 over 1. Okay, then cos of 30. I'm going to see, well, 30 is here, so cos is adjacent, root 3 over hypotenuse, which is 2. And then sine of 60 is going to be 60 is here, so opposite over hypotenuse is root 3 over 2. Okay, so I'm going to multiply this. So this 1 will cancel with that 1, and this 3 will cancel, that root 3 and that root 3 will cancel. They all cancel. So I'll just be left with 1 minus, now this will be root 3 times root 3. So remember from our rules that it's the same as 3 times 3. Okay, if you need to go over those rules, we did those third rules together last term, and I think it is on page 129. The rules. Okay, so we have the root of 9 over 4, which is 1 minus 3 over 4, which is equal to 4 over 4 minus 3 over 4. Okay, we find an LCD, which is 4. So it's 1 over 4. Remember, you must show as many steps as possible because it's without a calculator. So you cannot use a calculator in any part of this method. Okay, it's okay if you kind of skip this step and you go straight to the step if you know the rule, but you cannot miss the LCD. You will get a mark for finding an LCD because obviously it's without a calculator. Okay, then number 3 is sine of 30 to the power of tan of 45. Okay, so again, it's just special angles. So I'm going to put my brackets in. I'm going to say, well, sine of 30 hopefully is something that you are already starting to remember, but if not, you can go back to the top and you'll see sine of 30 is just a half. Tan of 45 is going to be 1 over 1. Okay, opposite over adjacent. Make sure that you put 1 over 1 so that I can see that you know you've used the ratios correctly. So it's 1 over 2, just like that, because it's to the power of 1. Okay, then number 4 is tan of 45 sine of 60 over tan of 30 brackets 1 minus sine of 30. Okay, so I'm going to do my brackets and I will say tan of 45 sine of 60 tan of 30 1 minus. Okay, we're all together. All I've done is I've just put my brackets in the place where I'm going to replace these functions. Okay, so just be careful here because obviously sign mistakes and multiplication and so on. Okay, so tan of 45 we've already established is 1 over 1. And sine of 30 we already know is a half. Okay, we did that in the previous one. So tan of 30 degrees, if we go to 30, it's opposite over adjacent, 1 over root 3. And sine of 60 is going to be opposite over hypotenuse, which is root 3 over 2. So it's 1 multiplied by root 3 over 2 over 1 over root 3, 1 minus a half. So I mean, this you don't really have to find an LCM. I mean, if you just take a half away from 1, you're left with a half. Like there's no real need to write that out. So I'll have root 3 over 2 divided by 1 over 2 root 3. Now, because this is a complex fraction, I'm going to rewrite it. So I'll have root 3 over 2 divided by 1 over 2 root 3. So root 3 over 2 multiplied by 2 root 3 over 1. Okay, the 2's will cancel. And then root 3 times root 3 is root 9 over 1, which is just 3. Okay, so just make sure that you go over it and you understand exactly what I've done. I hope you read my Google Classroom notes to not do 5 and 6, okay, because we haven't done the reciprocals yet. So cosec, sec, and cot is not something that we've done yet. So I hope that you didn't do that. If you did, it's not the end of the world, but it's obviously just not something that I've covered with you. Okay, so next is G. So it said 2 right angle triangles are given and then calculate and round off. Okay, so you're given 2 right angle triangles. I'll draw them quickly. Make sure that you have drawn these in your book as well. Okay, remember, like I said, if there's diagrams, you need to have the diagrams. Okay, it doesn't help that you have answers but there's no diagram. Then how are you going to know what it is that you are answering? Okay, so make sure that the diagrams are there. Remember, if it's not, then it's homework not done. Okay, so G, H, K, R, P, Q. Okay, so it says to calculate the length of PQ and PR. So I'm going to go and see, okay, they want PQ and PR. Okay, so I notice that, let me highlight it with a different color, otherwise you might misunderstand and think that they're equal when they are not, or we don't know that they are, but they probably won't be, because PQ, as we can see, is going to be the hypotenuse. So it's important that you label your triangle first. You can see that here is your angle that's given. So I'm going to label PQ as H because it's the side opposite to the right angle. And the one that is opposite to the 42 is the 17, which is the opposite. And the one next to it then is the adjacent. So in order to find, we'll start with PQ, seeing that it's the hypotenuse. We are given opposites. We want hypotenuse, so we can use sine. So we'll say sine of 42 degrees is equal to PQ, which is equal to 17 over PQ. Okay, opposite over hypotenuse. So now do not make this mistake. Okay, remember that in order to, you want PQ on its own, but now you see it's at the bottom here. So the only way to get rid of the fraction is to multiply by PQ on both sides. So that will give me PQ sine of 42 is equal to 17. Okay, some of you can also put this over 1 and you can do the cross multiply that maybe you're more familiar with. But do not make the mistake of saying 17 sine of 42 is equal to PQ. Okay, that is very bad. Okay, you're not doing the right thing mathematically. So please be careful of that. Okay, that is not correct at all. Okay, so PQ is actually equal to 17 divided by sine of 42. Remember, like I said, we don't want to round off, so don't put it in your calculator until this last step. Okay, so when you're on this step, you'll put it on your calculator, 17 divided by sine of 42, and you'll get 25.4, it said to 2 decimal places, so 41 And did they give you any units? No, so you'll just say units. Okay, then they said they wanted you to find PR. So you can find PR now that you have the hypotenuse, right? It's 25.41. You can use Pythag if you want to, but be careful because you have to use the unrounded off answers. So that's 25.40610,135. So I recommend that you maybe avoid using it, just because you could still use the 42, and you can use, well, A and O would be tan. So you can just say, well, tan of 42 degrees is equal to opposites over adjacent, which is 17 over PR. So again, be careful, don't make that multiplication mistake. It's going to be PR is equal to 17 divided by tan of 42. Okay, I've done the exact same thing that I did here. I did skip the step, so just make sure that you are aware of what's happening here, then you'll know what's happening there. Okay, so I have PR is equal to 17 divided by tan of 42, which is going to be 18.88 units. Like I said, Pythag is also an option, so you can also use Pythag here. It's really not a problem at all. Okay, then number 2 is to find the value of K, the angle. So K is here. So I notice that I'm given two sides. I'm given the 11 centimeters, which is technically opposite to this angle. This one is adjacent, and then that would make this one hypotenuse. But you don't need the hypotenuse. If you want to calculate it and then use a different trig function, you can. But again, it's just a very long method that's unnecessary in this case. So all you need to see is, okay, well, opposites over adjacent will give us tan. So we'll say tan of K is equal to opposites over adjacent, which is 11 divided by 9.5. Now remember, if you want the angle on its own, you're going to arc tan. Okay, be careful. Make sure that you know how to solve for the trig function. Okay, it's not like that's going to change. So you're going to say shift tan of 11 divided by 9.5, which is going to be 49.18 degrees. Make sure that you don't forget this degree, otherwise you're going to lose a mark. Okay, you have to give the correct units in order to get the full mark. Okay, then for H, you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to just draw a small diagram for each one. So I'll do like one like that. Then no. Okay, so you have the 90 there, 90 there, there, and there. Then you I'll just label your triangles A, B, C, E, D, F, A, B, C, and F, D, G. I'm going to remind you again, please make sure that you draw these diagrams in. Okay, there's no point in having the question, having your answers, and there's no diagram. Okay, so we'll start with what we don't know, and we'll move to what we do know. So for this one here, I can see, okay, well, x is a side, first of all, and I have a given angle here. So I have an opposite, and I have an adjacent. So I'll have tan of 38 is equal to opposite over adjacent. So x is equal to 6.4 times tan of 38. Which should give you 5 degrees. No, units, sorry, because it's a length. Okay, then for this one, here's the angle. This is the opposite. Now be careful, this is not adjacent. It is the side opposite to the right angle. So it has to be the hypotenuse. So I'm going to have sine of 63 is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So then x is equal to 13 divided by sine of 63. Okay, please make sure, like, this is exactly the same as examples that we've been doing, so make sure that you are able to do the algebra. Okay, remember we've done equations. Okay, that chapter's been covered, it's been done. So you can't now forget the algebra when we're busy here. Okay, that's not going to work. Okay, now if I look here, I have x, I have the hypotenuse, and adjacent. So that's clearly going to be cos of x, which is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So then x is equal to arc cos of -1 of 20 over 55. So x is equal to, so shift cos 20 over 55, which is equal to 68.68 degrees. Okay, and then number 4, x, again, this is hypotenuse, this is going to be opposite, so it's just sine of x, which is equal to 34.5 over 52.3. So x is arc sine of 34.5 over 52.3. So x will be 34.5 over 52.3, 41.27 degrees. Okay, if you need to go back and just check how I did some of them, then please do so. Otherwise, as soon as you're done with this activity, then you rule off. Okay, then you're going to write the heading. So the heading is going to be found on page 'll tell you right now.